Roll Tide! Roll Tide Roll! This is the Tigers and Tide Alabama Football Podcast from SoutheasternFootball.com. Available on Bama Sports Radio, a V-Sporto channel bringing you all Crimson Tide all the time. Remember to download the Bama Sports Radio free iOS app and follow their channel on Twitter at Bama Sports Radio. Here are your hosts, Brett Mason and Jamie Thomas.
Broadcasting from our respective Alabama and Auburn bunkers in Southeast Alabama, Brett Mason here along with my co-host Jamie Thomas. War Eagle, man.
Roll Tide Roll.
Hello to everybody listening on our free iOS and Android apps. You can snag those on your app stores by searching for Tigers and Tide. And also hello to everybody subscribed on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and more. I was checking the stats last night, Jamie. iHeartRadio is our number 2 source of listeners, man. People love the iHeartRadio.
All right. That's one of my favorite apps, too, man.
We are on there. Just search for Tigers and Tide. So any late-breaking stuff going on with Alabama that you would like to talk about before we get to our big 5 things to look at for the game this weekend?
Nothing really breaking. I mean, I guess the biggest news of today was, what was missing. Freshman quarterback Blake Barnett was not in the house during practice today. No word from Saban or the coaching staff at this point why he wasn't there, but he wasn't. So don't know if he's in the doghouse or if he took a personal day, had some family stuff to take care of. But will be interesting to see if he makes it back to the capstone this week.
I'm sure, like most students at the University of Alabama, he's taking a remedial reading course.
Like public administration? Is that what he's doing? Public administration, Brad?
I'm going to ask you something I should already know the answer to, so this may be the most boring segment of the show. But honestly, haven't looked or seen of it. But did Alabama come out of the game unscathed? Was there any injuries or anything like that? It did. I don't remember seeing anything.
Yeah, no real big injuries. Jabril Washington had, not really sure what the injury was. He didn't practice today. He was out. That was really it. I mean, I really don't even know how he got injured. For the most part, everybody came out pretty healthy. It was good seeing Kenyon Drake make the cuts and the moves he was making. He was back at practice today, had a big smile on his face. I think overall they're looking real good. Should be a good week against Middle Tennessee State and going on into Ole Miss.
Good job. Coming up still in the show, we're going to announce the winner, our weekly winner of our Pick'em contest. We will get picks in place for this weekend with our guest expert, Elizabeth Sturdivant. And we'll be talking about the 5 biggest things you need to be looking for in the Alabama game this weekend as well. First, I want to remind you that our podcast brought to you in part by our friends at Blueberry, who specialize in podcasting. If you've ever listened to this show and thought, man, I could do a much better job of podcasting, hey, give it a shot. It's only $12 a month, and just for our listeners, you can try it out for a month absolutely free. Won't cost you anything. Blueberry makes it really easy. Just produce, post, and publish. And if you want to try it out for free, give yourself a little shot there at podcasting. Go to southeasternfootball.com/free month to start podcasting for free right now. That's southeasternfootball.com/free month, and use code Tigers and Tide at checkout. That's all one word. Tigers and Tide. Here we go. This is today's Big 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time for the Big 5.
Here we go. We're going to take a look at 5 things that we need to be on the lookout for this weekend when Bama takes on somebody. Who are they playing?
Middle Tennessee State.
Oh, yeah. Middle Tennessee State is
a team that put up 70 points last weekend.
They're way better than that lower Middle Tennessee.
The southeastern Middle Tennessee.
All right, what you got? Run it down for us, brother.
All right. I think, this is one of those games where we're just hoping to not go out there and lay an egg. I think this is one that Bama's going to win. Not sure that, they're going to cover that big 34-point spread. But this is one of those we want to win. We want to have some guys get some playing time, and we want to come out with no injuries. So I think this week with Jake Coker getting the majority of the snaps last week against Wisconsin, I feel like we're going to see a little bit more of Cooper Bateman this week. Both he and Coker working out with the first team still. So the quarterback controversy, while it may look a little clearer, it still really hasn't been resolved. It's still a job that's up for grabs between Coker and Bateman. I think we're going to see more of Cooper this week. He looked good in practice. He's still developing those relationships with the wide receivers. He's got that confidence from the first game. He actually had a really good first game. So I think we're going to see more Cooper Bateman. Maybe Coker will play for a quarter. Then I expect it to be the Cooper Bateman show.
Do you think there's any chance we see three deep into the fourth quarter?
I think it really just depends on the score. I think right now you don't want Coker or Bateman to get hurt. So, yeah, we probably could see Alec Morris sometimes in the later in the game maybe. Again, I think it's really going to be mostly Cooper Bateman getting his shot to prove why he should be the number one guy.
Gotcha. Number two.
What's going to be with the Alabama offense? Are they going to open it up? Is it going to be a little vanilla? I think we saw maybe 30 to 40% of the playbook last week against Wisconsin. Coker looked first two series kind of looked like a deer in the headlights, and it really after that point it was almost like, okay, let's throw the aggressiveness out the window. Let's just give the ball to D. Henry and Kenyon Drake and just see what happens. And it was pretty much the Derrick Henry show. Coker completed some passes. They only threw the long ball once, maybe twice. And it was grossly underthrown. So, I guess the question is, are we going to see them open it up, or are they going to wait till Ole Miss comes around before they show anything else?
Well, I tell you, we think we see this every year, but I'd lean towards they're probably not going to open it up that much. You don't want to show your hand too much against Ole Miss heading into that would probably be my guess. Unless there's some things that they do need to, he thinks they may need to work on. But definitely no wrinkles. I don't think he's definitely seen any complicated wrinkles or anything. Which is just smart football.
Yeah.
What you got at number three?
Well, 3 and 4, I guess we kind of put together as special teams. Really concerned about what's happening with J.K. Scott. Didn't realize he was having kind of an off-fall camp. The leg strength doesn't seem to be what it was last year. And I think he showed that a little bit during the game. He just didn't look like the punter that we're used to seeing. So really what was one of Bama's biggest weapons last year, that guy – you could be inside your own 20, and he could easily flip the field position, which for any team, that's big time, man. I mean, it's great to have a punter that can boot the ball 55, 60 yards and turn the field position on somebody. So I guess, I don't know if it's demons in his head or, I don't know. I'm just going to be interesting to see whether or not he gets his leg back this week. At number 4, the place kicking, Adam Griffith, man, 3 years, 4 years going on now. Another cause for concern with the guy kicking the field goals. I mean, I think it's just absolutely ridiculous that we don't have a guy on this team that can kick a field goal outside of 20, 25 yards. I think if Griffith comes in, he struggles with 1 or 2 kicks. I think we're probably going to see another kicker come in and get a chance to get those 3 points.
I tell you, it's really interesting, and I'm going to try not to make too much fun of y'all being the Alabama fan that I am, and I'm going to try to be all intellectual about it. But it is interesting that it just seems like a perennial problem that they just don't have somebody that can kick field goals. It's very odd, especially on a team that is loaded from top to bottom with people who excel at their position. It just seems very odd,
It's very frustrating because what should be a chip shot puts you on the edge of your seat, and it's been that way for several years. I can't remember the last kicker we had that come in, and you could just have absolute confidence that he was going to knock one in from 40 and inside. In fact, I was watching the game the other night with family, and as soon as he come in, when they lined up on the left hash, the guy sitting next to me said, "Oh, this is money." I said, "No, he's on the left hash. It's going to be wide left." And sure enough, he kicked it wide left. I mean, it's almost like reading a book with this guy. You know when he's going to be wide left. You know when he's going to be wide right. It's just extremely frustrating. Bama fans can't be happy about this.
And coming in at number 5 on your list of the big 5 things to look for this weekend in the Alabama game.
Another recurring theme for Alabama, the secondaries and the defense. They just didn't play that well Saturday night against Wisconsin. No really huge plays. But Wisconsin was more successful in 3rd and long than they were any other time on the field. And I feel like that's because they knew that they could; those wide receivers could take advantage of our secondary. I saw some good things out of some of the younger guys, but I think this week we're going to see more freshmen, more sophomores. We're going to see more of Tony Brown. Going to see some more of 29, and for the life of me, I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. But he showed some promise in that game. He did get beat up pretty bad one time, but I think we're going to see some younger guys in that secondary, and Coach Saban is going to be looking for somebody to take that leadership role back there.
Well, there you go. It'd be interesting to see, especially on some of the issues of who gets to play, and especially to continue to watch that quarterback situation develop this weekend. If the game isn't exciting for any other reason than that, those are a couple of good reasons to watch the game this weekend. Hang on, we're going to announce our winner of the weekly Pick'em contest, who will win a free prize from the podcast. We'll do that and talk to our guest expert, Elizabeth Sturdivant, about some ways you can put money in your pocket this weekend. If that's legal in your state, we do not advocate illegal gambling. Let me put that out right now.
This is Tigers and Tide Picks, a weekly segment where we award free prizes to the winner of our Fantasy Picks League. And we get tips from one of the country's best sports pick analysts. You can follow her at 3YITC or visit her online at 3yardsinthecloud.com. Welcome, our guest expert, Elizabeth Sturdivant.
And here we go. This segment of the show brought to you by Fantasy Sports mega site DraftKings.com, where fantasy sports fans are winning huge cash prizes every day. America's favorite place to play daily fantasy sports is at DraftKings.com. Play whenever you want. Just pick your sport, draft your team. It's like a new season every time you play, so you're never stuck with the same players. Over $1 billion will be won at DraftKings.com this year, and you could be next to win big. Go to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code Tigers and Tide. That's all one word, Tigers and Tide, and you can play for free. You can't get much better of a deal than that. Your free entry now at DraftKings.com. Tigers and Tide. We welcome into the show Elizabeth Sturdivant from 3yardsinthecloud.com. You can follow her at 3YITC. Hello, lady. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing great, guys.
Roll Tide.
I knew you were going to do it.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
So Elizabeth's going to be breaking down some games this weekend. We'll talk about Alabama and Auburn with her as well. First, we have to announce our first weekly winner of our Pick'em contest. A reminder, that is absolutely free to enter. You just go to southeasternfootball.com/picks, and you can sign up. Just remember, you'll need password podcast to sign up for our free league. If you miss week one, don't worry. We'd have a new winner every single week, so you don't have to worry about getting behind. You can still catch up. That's at southeasternfootball.com/picks. It's interesting. We have our first winner as an international winner, Jamie. Bama Down Under is his nickname on the Fantasy Sports League. He's from Australia, and he is
Wasn't that Mike Price's Twitter handle? Only the true Bama fans get that one.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Wow.
Come on, Brett.
Wow.
No, I'm with you now. And unfortunately, we can't talk in great detail about that on the show. I would also like to point out that I still did beat Jamie Thomas.
I don't know what you want me to say. I'm a little embarrassed.
I want you to admit that I am superior to you in every possible way.
We are 1 week into this season. 1 week, Brett.
So you're going to be shipping out Bama Down Under a fabulous Alabama T-shirt since he's
He is going to get a nice prize courtesy of the United States Postal Service.
If you'd like to win a free prize, just make sure you enter southeasternfootball.com/picks. It's free to sign up. And Bama Down Under, I will be contacting you about how to get your prize. It's as easy as that. All right, Elizabeth, you did pretty good. What were you, 2 for 3 on your on the first week? Is that what it was?
No, first, actually, in my money in your pocket picks that I do on my site, I went 3 and 2.
3 and 2.
3 and 2. I was completely wrong about the Arizona State game. I don't know if Arizona State possibly just wasn't as good as advertised. Clearly there were some, warning signs coming out of the Pac-12, as we all saw last weekend, or if Texas A&M's defense really is that good. Only time will tell. But other than that, we had a winning week.
The Pac-12 is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in all my years of watching college sports. I just like to tell you, they have some good teams, though. Jamie and I talked about this on the Monday show. They have some good teams, but boy, they have a lot of bad teams.
For the record, I called the Texas A&M upset.
I think there was way more hype going into Arizona State as advertised. And clearly, I mean, we all saw what happened to Stanford, who, some people had as a top team as well. So, You're right. I was just wrong. I was wrong there. I admit it. I know when to say I'm wrong.
Jamie lost money on the Stanford game. Jamie lost money on the Stanford game.
And how about Penn State, guys? I was afraid that their quarterback, Hackenberg, was just going to break in half. I felt so bad for that guy.
Couldn't happen to a better program.
As you can tell, we're not as much about the X's as O's as we are about the cerebral making fun of people part of the game. Yeah. We love football for all the wrong reasons, don't we?
We do.
So let's look ahead to this weekend and put you on the line again. And what I know we're going to be challenging in these, asking you to pick the winner of the Alabama and the Auburn games. I'm sure you spent a lot of overtime on these games, but nevertheless, do the best you can.
If you had to put a gun to my head, I would take Middle Tennessee State plus the 34.5 points against Bama. Bama wins, hands down. I'm just not sure they cover that many points. And also in this game, the quarterback for MTSU is the coach's son. And coaches' sons just a lot of times have a way to manage the games and sort of carry out the game plan with a lot of confidence. So Bama wins, but they don't cover the 34.5 points if I had to pick.
Well, and obviously when you're doing the Money in Your Pocket show, you're trying to help people be profitable. We just force you to pick these because this is what our show's about.
Yes.
You don't have any other choice.
Hey, Middle Tennessee State put up 70 points this past weekend. When you factor that into the fact that the last time Bama covered a spread against a team like this, it kind of scares me a little bit.
Let me tell you something, Jamie Thomas. When I was 16 years old, I put up 87 points on my 6-year-old nephew.
Brett, that was 46 years ago.
And that's the exact same analogy as this game. That doesn't mean anything.
What I was trying to agree with Elizabeth, Bama's not going to cover the spread, okay?
I'm a little disappointed because I heard in a previous show that you guys have autographed pictures. Where are
yes, there's one of Brett wearing his Auburn pajamas.
Yeah, like I need a life-size poster of that, please.
Look, they don't make posters that big. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They don't have the technology to make a poster of me life-size.
That is an awesome crime deterrent. I knew that.
I'm waiting, guys. I'm waiting. So any day now.
Well, I would just like to point out that Jamie had committed you to providing autograph photos, so that's something you guys might want to talk about after the show.
That I can do.
So we're all in agreement. Look, I would be the same too. I wouldn't bet Alabama on the spread in that game either, even though Alabama will obviously win that game. Auburn, Jacksonville State is going to be pretty much the same, although I don't see a spread on this game. Are they taking bets on this game?
Yeah. You know they've hit the bottom of the barrel when Vegas doesn't have a spread. I mean, I'm sort of like, I hate to say it, but were the Tri-Delts just too busy for a scrimmage this Saturday, so they had to get Jacksonville State? I mean, what's going on here?
The school for the blind and deaf was busy.
What do we even say? I guess thank God they're playing Jacksonville State. I think they have a lot of questions, clearly with Jeremy Johnson. So I mean, I think he's good. He's not quite the rushing threat that Marshall was last year. And so I just think it's going to be hard to run the zone read if Johnson can't take off and run at will. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they've got a lot of work to do.
Tell you what, I would at this point I'd trust Jeremy to run much more than I would trust him to pass.
Yeah, he looked a little Jameis Winston-like. There were several times last year where Winston, got pressured and he just sort of threw the ball up in the air for grabs. And there were a few times I felt like Johnson was doing that. So it was, I think it's good this week. They're going to play, sort of a no-name team to maybe get some more experience there.
So now let's get you to help us make some money. I'm sure you got one or two games you can give us that you like, just based on the merits that we could potentially play this week.
Well, of course I do. Of course I do, because I love you guys and I want you to make some money. This week I have Michigan State pick versus Oregon. And last year I picked Sparty to beat Oregon last year and they didn't. But this year the game is in East Lansing. There's no Marcus Mariota back. and I don't have to give any points. And last week, Oregon gave up 42 points to Eastern Washington. So I'm taking the Big Ten here, and I think Michigan State beats Oregon 35-24.
I like that. I think I'd pick that too. I don't know about the spread because I'm not that good. I like the pick to win, though.
Yeah, well, right now it's just a pick. Now, that could change by the end of the week. But right now it's just a pick to win. So I'm definitely taking Sparty to beat Oregon.
I like it.
Yeah, another pick I have, my underdog pick of the week, is Idaho plus 42.5 points against USC. And I know I talked about USC last week, and USC covered. I picked them to cover the 28 points against Arkansas State. Well, this week, I don't think that USC will cover the 42.5 points. And I think a lot of people will think I'm crazy for saying that. But here's a really, really interesting stat that I couldn't overlook, and I want to share it with you guys. It's teams that cover a spread of more than 21 points in a previous week. They failed to cover the spread 90% of the time when they're favored by more than 21 points in the following week. So I don't know if you took all that in, but basically it's been proven it's very difficult to cover such a big line 2 weeks in a row. And I think USC wins, of course, but they don't cover the 42.5 points. I think it's USC 49, Idaho 10.
Some Bob Euchre type stats right there.
Well, I mean, it's money in your pocket. It's money in your pocket, guys. I have one more pick for you.
Okay.
I have Georgia Tech minus 26 against Tulane. And I think Georgia Tech easily covers the 26 points. Last week, I really thought Tulane would give Duke a better game. I thought they could potentially even upset Duke, but they're clearly outclassed. They're not, it's sort of like varsity playing the JV. And Georgia Tech has one of the best, they're one of the best rushing teams in the country. I think they handily beat Tulane, cover the 26 points. They win 49-17. But my last pick is, I'm not going to give you the pick. It's on my Money in Your Pocket picks on 3yardsinthecloud.com. But I picked the LSU Mississippi State game this week. And I'll just say this. Last year, I picked Mississippi State to beat LSU and cover. And they did. And so I'll just say this. I got it right last year. I think I got it right this year. And you'll have to tune into my show to check that out.
You're a brave woman picking a game where one of the teams we haven't even seen them play yet.
You're right. But I have a lot of confidence in my pick.
That's why Elizabeth gets paid the big bucks to do those picks on this show. Jamie, pay the woman.
I'll pay that to you.
All I've asked for is autographed pictures, boys.
I'm going to make that happen for you.
Keep dreaming.
If you send me one, I will tweet out a picture of me holding that picture.
If you want to have a shot with your bookies, you should definitely check out her Money in Your Pocket show. You can find it at 3yardsinthecloud.com. And remember to follow her at 3YITC. And you're still doing the fantasy football show, too, they can find on your site, right?
I am. And I'm also a DraftKings player. And every week I give you a lineup to help you with your DraftKings daily fantasy contest.
Very, very nice. Thank you so much for being on the show with us. That's Elizabeth right there from 3yardsinthecloud.com. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Elizabeth.
Don't forget to follow us at Tigers and Tide 1 on Twitter and Facebook.com/Tigers and Tide. Also, be sure to follow Bama Sports Radio at Bama Sports Radio for the latest on Crimson Tide sports. Thanks for listening to the Alabama Football Podcast from SoutheasternFootball.com on Bama Sports Radio of the Sporto channel. Download our free iOS app. Just search for Tigers and Tide in the App Store. And subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Just search for Tigers and Tide. And for the latest SEC news, log on to SoutheasternFootball.com.